Story 1. Words a wife should never say. According to my husband, there are 2 words a wife should never, ever say to her husband. The first is a word so terrible, so insulting, it cuts right to the bone. I said the word after I asked my husband for some help. That's all. Just a little effort around the house. We're both working full-time, and sometimes it's easy to let the chores get away from you. But I noticed that my husband wasn't cleaning anything at all. He said to me, "Do you think my grandfather ever cleaned a bathroom? That's a woman's job." This, of course, started an argument. He went on quite a tangent, including mentioning how mad he sometimes, had to ask me to make dinner. He just wanted me to make dinner, and it should be ready when he wants it. Well, I called him childish. The first forbidden word. He became so furious he punched a hole in the drywall. I had to beg him to stop before he broke his hand, and we had a doctor bill we couldn't afford. The second word is an even more grave offense. So unforgivable, so dastardly, even to let them pass your lips should be punishable by death. Capital. Fucking. Punishment. I said the word because I was exhausted. The happy memories of our marriage seemed as far away as my childhood. Miserable days turn into forgotten weeks. Soon you're measuring the months in fights. Soon, you wonder how many years you have left. I didn't think I could stand one more argument. So I mentioned it. Didn't even say my mind was made up or anything. I just let the word leave my mouth. Divorce. The second forbidden word. This time he did more than punch the wall. Once he was done, I told him I got the picture. We made a vow, something unbreakable. If our marriage was unhappy, hell, it must have been my fault. Failing my wifely duties. I told him, "You're right." I planned him a little outing. "When was the last time you went fishing?" He couldn't remember. I even packed everything for him. His kayak, fishing gear. Packed him lunch and a 6-pack. Told him to enjoy the day, and when he was back, everything would be clean, and dinner would be hot and ready. I was lying. After he left, I followed close behind in my car. I watched from the shoreline with binoculars. The slob brought the 6-pack out on the water with him. 10 in the morning and he's knocking him back. He'd already eaten the sandwich I made him, which I put a little extra ingredient in. Let's just say there was a reaction with the alcohol. I watched him pass out. Saw him tip over in the kayak, floating upside down. He was completely underwater. Empty beer cans floated around him. Here's a word every woman should practice in the mirror: murder. Story 2. I am my mother's secret. I must have been 12 when I found out my mother was ashamed of me. I remember the exact moment. We were in the elevator when a neighbor, an old lady, looked at me, then at my mother, surprised, and asked, "Is this your son?" My mom said yes, with that tone people use when they wish they could lie. The woman didn't ask anything more, but I saw her eyes. That full-body scan of shock and disgust. We lived in a decaying building filled with forgotten elderly and prostitutes, and somehow we still managed to stand out. It was just the 2 of us, always locked inside the apartment. We barely spoke to anyone, and I didn't even go to school. I spent my days by the window watching kids play football downstairs, imagining myself running with them, laughing. My mom never let me leave. But one day while she was at work, I did. The kids looked confused when I showed up. Not excited. One of them pointed and said, "What a freak." My face was longer than theirs. My eyes too big. My arms too long. They didn't want me there, and moved away as I came closer. One of them shoved me and I fell. Then I heard one of their dads yelling, "Stay away from him. You don't know what he's got." I felt it. Shame first, then rage. I stood up from the ground, my jaw almost unhinging the way my mom told me never to let it happen. Eyes burning red. That's when she grabbed my shoulders. My mother. I turned around and she looked furious. Like she'd been looking for me. Home. Now. She dragged me back without saying much. The lecture came later and I sat through it quiet, head down. Too crushed to react. She noticed and something in her softened. She said dinner would be special tonight. Something that would cheer me up. I always loved dinner night. When it got dark, she dressed up and left. 2 hours passed. I was starving. When I heard the elevator, I rushed to the door like a dog waiting for its owner. She walked in, gorgeous, and behind her was the man I recognized. The father of one of the boys, the one who yelled. He looked drunk and confused to see me. He ignored me and pulled my mother toward the bedroom, but she smiled and told him to sit, she'd make him a drink. He muttered something and dropped onto the couch, staring at me like I was something that crawled out of the drain. While she was in the kitchen, he called me. Gestured for me to come closer. I did. He leaned in and whispered, "You've got a beautiful mother." That's when the bat cracked his skull. He hit the floor, twitching. My mother stood there, breath steady, gripping the bat. Then she looked at me. "It's your turn now, my son. Dinner is served." My jaw finally released. Story 3. A life remembered. For 50 years I clawed my way up. I began with nothing, just a determination to rise from the ashes of poverty. I swept offices, filed papers, fetched coffee before anyone else arrived. I sacrificed weekends, birthdays, and sleep. The days felt agonizingly slow when you're tired. But still, I pushed forward. Eventually, they noticed me. The promotions came. I got the corner office with the skyline view just like I had imagined. I became someone people waited to hear speak. It wasn't just work. I had loved it. After years of rejections, heartbreaks, and empty dates, I met her. Lena. She smiled like she'd known me in another life. She didn't care about my resume. She laughed at my awful jokes. I proposed under a cold city rain, and she said yes before I finished the sentence. She was the best thing that ever happened to me. We built a life. We traveled the world, holding hands at sunset, sharing kisses in places whose names I couldn't even pronounce correctly. I kept working, but it didn't feel as hard with her around. Then came my retirement party. People clapped. Old friends gave toasts. Lena kissed my cheek and whispered, "You made it." I remember raising a glass, feeling so full, so complete. Then, my head went light. I woke up to pale lights and beeping monitors. I must have collapsed. A stroke? A heart attack? I searched for Lena. She wasn't there. A nurse entered with a doctor. I asked them about my wife. The nurse stared at the doctor, then back at me. She asked, "What's your name?" I was too dizzy to answer. The doctor gestured to the nurse as if to say, "It's normal." They told me I'd been in an accident. I was 16. I'd fallen off my bike after school. My head hit the curb and I went into a coma for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I laughed. I screamed. I begged them to check again. I described Lena's face in detail. My company's name. The blueprint I sketched for the new downtown tower. They looked at me like I was broken glass. But I remember everything. The chipped mug on my desk. The way Lena tucked her hair behind her ear when she was nervous. It was real. I remember living 50 exhausting years. Now I'm 16 again. In a body that feels too small, with memories too large to fit. At night, I whisper to myself, hoping she hears me, my Lena. I close my eyes hoping to see her again. But every time I do, I only wake up further from her. I sit in my hospital bed, staring blankly at the window, watching the world begin again. They say I was lucky to stay alive. But luck doesn't leave you grieving a life you never really had. They say I can start over. But how do you start over when you've already lived your whole life and lost it? Story 4. Forget me not. The nurses say I shouldn't be able to remember my mom, but I do. She had long hair that tickled my cheek as she leaned over me. Her blue eyes were kind but sad. What happened to her? I asked Nurse Daryl one day. She's not here anymore, he says brusquely. The nurses don't know I can hear them talking beyond the big door. Daryl tells the others I am learning to read astonishingly fast. I read Daryl's name tag. Daryl Inomoto, Shin Kyoto Research Center, Project. What's mayfly? I ask. He hesitates. You, he says finally. Daryl tells me the higher-ups rejected my request for a book on mayflies. But they let me have the Encyclopedia Britannica, 15th edition. Mayfly, any member of a group of insects known for their extremely short adult lifespans. They also allow me a mirror. My skin, hair, and eyes are all brown, like a banana left in the sun. During a routine checkup, Daryl looks at me strangely. You grew 2 inches overnight, he says. My skin begins to itch. Daryl brings me trinkets to distract from my discomfort, a puzzle cube with colorful divided sides. A vase of flowers, the same shade of blue as my mom's eyes. Forget-me-nots, Daryl explains as I prod the delicate petals. The itching gets worse. As I claw at my skin, I notice that I've managed to tear away a small patch on my forearm, revealing soft new skin underneath. Desperately, I grab the edge of the patch and pull. The outer layer of my skin peels off easily. My new skin is dewy and pink, like the nurse's. I pull. A strip across my mouth comes off, taking with it my lips. I scream, but the sound dies somewhere between my throat and my new, mouthless face. I meet my frightened gaze in the mirror. My brown hair has fallen out, replaced by shining blonde waves. My eyes have turned blue. The door bursts open, and nurses rush in, wheeling a bed. 60 seconds to delivery, Daryl announces as arms grab me and push me onto my back on the bed. My stomach feels bloated. I look down to discover that it has swelled to several times its usual size. 30 seconds to delivery. I feel movement, like a rough mass scraping my insides as it slides through me. Pain explodes in my head. Successful delivery, Daryl says calmly. I sit up, and something slimy is pushed into my arms. It is a wrinkly brown baby that yells at me while punching the air with tiny fists. Another mayfly, Daryl says, followed by groans from the nurses. I lean over her, my hair brushing her cheek. I'll protect you, I think, but I am already slumping in exhaustion. My eyes find the mirror. A silver-haired woman stares back. I reach up to touch my face, and she does the same with a frail, liver-spotted hand. Her eyes are still blue, like forget-me-nots. Story 5. They say dogs remember. I believe it. Mine always did. Rex knew things. Not just the smell of gun oil on my sleeves or the click of the front door at midnight, he knew me. Before the ache started. Before I started drinking my breakfast. Back when my hands still steadied instead of shook. He was a good dog. Maybe the only good thing I ever had. We lost him in a raid. Gas main blew. 1 second he was bounding through a blown door, all muscle and instinct. Next second, gone. The flames swallowed the hallway. I never saw his eyes again. They said he died a hero. Gave me a medal I keep in a sock drawer. Couldn't bring myself to bury it. Couldn't bury him either. There wasn't enough left. Retired a year later. Moved out to a farm I can't really afford, with fields that roll on like they're tired of being looked at. Grew quiet. Stopped checking my phone. Left my radio off. Then the dog came back. First, just a shadow in the field. But still watching. I thought it was my mind playing old games. Grief has teeth, and it bites from strange angles. But the next night, there he was again. Closer. Right at the fence line. Tongue out. Head tilted like Rex used to do when he wanted my attention but didn't want to beg for it. I didn't sleep that night. Third night, I left the porch light on. Fourth night, I left the door unlocked. By the fifth, I was waiting. He's bigger now. Wrong in little ways. Legs too long, jaw hanging loose like something broken at the hinge. His coat looks soaked in something dark, and the stink of him hits before he's even close. Not a wet dog. Not rot either. Something between burnt wool and old breath. But it's his eyes that stop me. I remember them. Brown with a ring of gold. I see them sometimes in dreams. I see them now. I read the report again. The one they tried to bury. Said the suspect wasn't in the building. Said the bones we found were gnawed. Said nothing about the teeth marks. About how deep they went. Rex didn't die protecting me. He died feeding. Tonight, he's by the back door. Sitting like he used to, patient, tail curled neat around his feet. The porch creaks like it's holding its breath. And for the first time in years, I'm not scared. Just tired. I open the door. He doesn't lunge. Doesn't growl. Just crosses the threshold like he never left. Good boy, I say, and the dark follows him in. Story 6. Sainthood. I was never a good man. I didn't drift into sin. I walked into it with my head up and heart cold. Every life I took, I chose to take. It wasn't rage or impulse. It was a deliberate will. But one morning, I woke to a silence pressing in from all sides, And I didn't want to be that man anymore. I didn't want forgiveness or peace. Just something clean inside. I wanted to be good. So I left, not knowing where I was going, only that I had to go. Then I saw him, a saint. He sat at the edge of a vast field, robes too clean for this world, pale as if never touched dust. He looked ancient, not old, but timeless. I don't remember walking up to him, but there I was, standing before him, and everything poured out. I told him the truth, about the people I'd killed, how and why, the faces haunting my sleep, and my fear of their judgment. He listened silently until I said I feared them. Then he said, I fear only one man, just one in the same way. I didn't understand then, but I listened when he told me what I had to do. If you want to be good, kill yourself as many times as you killed others. Every version of you that sinned must die by your hand. I looked out over the field. Nearly 200 versions of me stood there, each holding a slip of paper. I took the first. My name was on it, but beneath that was a man I had shot in a stairwell. The date, hour, fear. It all came back sharp and vivid. I looked at the copy. He looked back, fury and fear mirroring my own. I fought him. I killed him. I wept. Then I moved on. Some fought like I'd never known fear, others begged, some waited. With each kill, my body broke more, ribs cracked, hands split, my mind blurred. Memory and pain became one. I forgot which version I fought and which I'd been. But I finished it. I killed them all. I returned to the edge of the field, dragging what was left of myself through the dirt. The saint was still there, watching and waiting. But now I saw fear in his eyes, real and human. Then he said, Now kill me. I made you kill all those replicas, even if it was for the right reason. I've sinned too. If you won't kill me, I'll lose my sainthood. So I did what had to be done. I drove the blade into his chest. He felt like a man expecting it. The moment he hit the ground, something changed. My wounds closed. My breath steadied. My thoughts cleared. The robes wrapped around me as if they had always been mine. I had become the saint. And I feared only one man, the one who would come next. Story 7. Judgment Day. Hell, the angel said, lesbian. Objection, I shook my head. First of all, no one deserves suffering worse than death. The angel rolled his eyes. I always started my statements with that line. But I knew I couldn't get into that again. I had to play by their rules if I wanted to win. Secondly, I took a step forward. My client didn't hurt anyone. She has loved. Doesn't the Bible say to love thy neighbor? The man nodded, but his eyes saw right through us. The line in front of the pearly gates was getting longer by the second. He shrugged. She is a woman who lay with another woman. Hell. So why the fuck did you make her that way? I forced myself to take a deep breath. The angel didn't like swearing. How could her love be something sinful when it resulted in a beautiful, God-fearing, loving family? When it resulted in charity, in children, in a garden she grew. She sinned, and she never regretted it. Hell. What? I stared at him. You can't. I froze. There was a terrible feeling creeping up inside of me. I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't do anything except wither in agony as I saw the demons appear. So I just watched as they dragged the woman to hell. Thank you for trying, she whispered. I stared at the place where she disappeared. Tears were flooding down my cheek. I wondered if that meant rain on earth. It's okay, it's okay. Someone was stroking my face, wiping the tears away. I recognized the smell of my wife. Another bad dream? She asked. You know how it is. I got up quickly. I had to be in court by 9. I used to love being a defense attorney. Then I got in a car accident. I was dead for 2 minutes, and I spent those minutes screaming at the man in front of the pearly gates. About how it was wrong to damn anyone for eternity with no rehabilitation possible. How this was no justice. He said if I was unhappy, I was free to do what I do best, defend. Now, I'm a lawyer at night as well. But how can you win a fight when the laws weren't written for you? I have seen hundreds of women being dragged down. Divorces. Escaping abusive relationships. Adultery. Abortions. All while men who have done unspeakable things sneaked right past the gate, simply by claiming they regret it. I know that when my time comes, the demons will drag me down as well. I will suffer alongside all the people I have failed. But as I kiss my wife goodbye, I simply cannot help it. I cannot regret loving her. Story 8. Little Lies. Hey, do you still have that textbook I lent you? I've been meaning to ask for it back. I looked up from my books, staring at Zygmunt. Oh, I still have it, don't worry. I'll give it back soon, okay? I replied hesitantly. Zygmunt nodded and sat down next to me in the library. My pulse raced a bit. I had been avoiding it for some time, but I had lost his textbook. I had been looking for days, but nothing turned up. It was a $300 one too, so I couldn't just tell him I lost it. I took off my clothes that night and hopped into the shower. As I turned on the hot, relaxing water, I felt a small stinging on my stomach. Looking down, I stared at a small, green spot just above my navel. Concerned, I reached down and tried to scrub it off, but it started stinging and hurting. I stopped the shower and looked at it in the mirror, growing increasingly worried, but ended up just going to bed, figuring that it would disappear in the morning or something. Hey Theo, you watched the newest episode of One Piece yesterday? It was so cool. Oh, of course. How do I look, Theo? Pretty. I love your outfit. My stomach had been more and more itchy as the day dragged on. I snuck to the bathroom before the end of the day and pulled off my shirt. The green spot had seeped outwards and now snaked up my chest. I poked it tenderly and it throbbed and stung. The bathroom door opened and closed. I threw my shirt back on. Theo? What are you doing? Zygmunt asked, walking over to the urinal. Zig? I was, just checking out the abs. Really? Let's see. Oh, I have to go actually, I have an important online meeting. I called back, quickly dashing out of the bathroom. I got home and fell onto the floor. My aching body had been flaring up all the way home, and I quickly took off my shirt. The green had spread down my arms, slightly up my neck, and was beginning to snake down to my legs. I screamed and wailed, trying to do anything to stop the burning pain that flamed up my body. Then I felt it. Staring down in horror, I watched as my skin bubbled and rotted away, a rancid dark green ooze seeping out. The skin welled up in bubbles, popping over the floor. The pain erupted, and I screamed and thrashed against it. My door flung open suddenly, and Zygmunt stared at me in terror. Theo, what the hell is going on? He yelled, rushing over. Zygmunt. He must have been worried about me. Zygmunt would think of something for sure. I'll be all right now. Then the skin erupted, and my sight melted into the green ooze that poured out of my body. That was a lie. Story 9. Why did you do it, Harper? The woman interrogating me behind the glass didn't flinch when she saw my chains. She just asked questions. Why did you do it, Harper? I shrugged. Did you know you can rip a doll apart and put her back together again? But she won't be the same because she's all broken. I'm not following. We were 12, I told her. Drugged every morning with a sharp prick in the neck. Isolated in suffocating white rooms. No parents. When I started hearing voices, they called it idiopathic schizophrenia. The voices got louder, exploding into thoughts. Then memories. Rafe had headaches, objects losing gravity around him. Evie stopped speaking, terrified of her commanding voice. PTSD, the adults claimed. We were traumatized. Overactive imaginations. Adolescence. Puberty. Blah blah blah. We're the adults and you're the children. Rafe launched a Range Rover across a parking lot. Evie compelled a guard to shoot himself. Blood sprayed my face, wet, warm and dripping. We screamed. Rafe tried to run. Evie tried to hurt herself. We were 12. We didn't really see brain chunks flying out of his skull. Rafe decapitated his mother on Visitor's Day. She asked too many questions, and at that point he was mute, silent, only his eyes moving. 1 minute she was screaming. The next, her head snapped off her neck, leaving a sharp skeletal stump. We were fucking 12. Rafe was dragged away screaming. I didn't see him until our first deployment. At 23, they pulled me from my tiny room. I didn't know the day or the time or the year. My hair was long. My hands were bloody from trying to claw out my own throat. I led the others on our first case, tracking down a drug dealer. Evie, whose hair had been shaved off. Rafe, who I hadn't seen since we were 17, and he told me to go fuck myself. The criminal's thoughts smelled like sour milk. Evie, masked, cornered him. Rafe, muzzled, one eye gone, flung him into a van with a glance. He didn't even look at me. He didn't even look at himself. Rafe was covered in blood, in guts, in dirt. He didn't speak English, snarling when anyone who wasn't his handler neared him. Evie didn't have a tongue. Her voice is now her brain. We were a team, a special unit hunting bad people. I don't want your life story, kid. The woman sighed. I smiled. I know. So? Why'd you do it? Why did I do it? After they drugged me, strapped me down, and extracted my bone marrow while I was still conscious, after ripping Evie's voice away and turning Rafe into a glorified attack dog. Why did I combust every brain? Why did I let Rafe out of his cage to shred them? Why did we laugh, cry, gorge on pizza and soda, scream and make out? Why did Rafe split a continent in half? I grinned. Because we're kids. I laughed. We don't know any difference. Story 10. Uncle Derry's Diary. Have you ever had a distant relative in your family that you never met, but who was always talked about in hushed tones by the rest of the family? For me, that was Uncle Derry. He was my father's very distant cousin, someone I'd never met, but someone I heard about way too many times in the family gatherings. My mother called him Mad Hatter's replica. When he died, the only thing he left me was a diary. It was surprising that he knew of my existence in the first place, let alone leave something for me. It arrived with a note, "For Roxy, when the blood is right." The diary throbbed in my hands as though it had veins. The cover was not leather, it was skin. Human, I think. At first, I threw it on the floor. But my curiosity got the better of me and I picked it back up. The first entry was dated March 1st, 1962. She's reading this now. I feel her eyes crawling on the page. My dear Roxy, you came too late. I shut the book. That night, I had the weirdest dream ever. An endless, narrow hallway, dripping blood from the ceiling. A figure stood at the end. His smile split his face. Inside my head, a voice loomed. Keep reading. You've already started. The next day, the diary had new words. March 2nd, 1962. She's afraid. That's good. Fear sweetens the ink. The family lied. They always do. Tell him, Roxy, how your father screamed when I wrote his name. The pages turned on their own. A photograph slipped out. It was my father, eyes gouged, mouth stuffed with paper. Called dead. No answer. Police found him the next morning. His tongue had been inked solid black. March 3rd, 1962. She called for help. They never learn. The diary doesn't open, it consumes. It satiates its hunger. I tried every possible thing in my capacity to destroy the diary. Nothing worked. The diary was indestructible. Then came the scratching. Under the floorboards. Inside the walls. In my head. March 4th, 1962. The scratching is Derry. He's hungry. He remembers how I wrote him into being. Now it's your turn. March 5th, 1962. Roxy, pick up the pen. Right? Or you will vanish like the rest. No mouth. No eyes. Just ink. The next page was blank. A pen rested beside it, quivering. I don't remember picking it up. But the words are there now. My words. Help me. They sink into the page, erased as soon as I write them. The diary wants more. It wants me to finish what Derry started. I'm writing this with fingers that aren't mine, in a voice that sounds like screaming. Did you find this? You won't. Because the diary knows you're reading it. And now it's yours. Story 11. Playing with dolls. Lauren pulled up her bedroom window and a cool breeze came in to greet her. She smiled and looked up at the sky. The night was clear, but the full moon made it so only the brightest stars could be seen. Across the side yard and over the fence was her neighbor's house, the Clarks. Due to their high fences and trees, they developed the bad habit of leaving their curtains and blinds open. From her window, Lauren could see everything. Mr. Clark sat in the living room drinking a whiskey on ice. Mrs. Clark was in their bedroom wearing a silk bathrobe, lotioning her legs. Lauren grabbed two of her dolls and brought them up onto the windowsill. She watched Mr. Clark attentively. His head started to droop, and so did the hand holding his drink. Lauren held the man doll out the window and faced him toward the full moon. She stared at Mr. Clark and waited. A few seconds later, the whiskey glass fell from his grip, and she smiled. Lauren stood the man doll up. Across the way, Mr. Clark stood up as well. She walked the doll forward and raised his arm. Mr. Clark walked toward the cabinets and reached on top of them. Lauren lowered the doll's arm, and in Mr. Clark's hand was a pistol. The man doll stuffed his hand down the front of his beach shorts and then walked toward the lady doll. "You," Lauren said, speaking for the man doll. She used an exaggeratedly low voice. "You stole her kitty piano, didn't you?" "What? Are you drunk?" Lauren replied as the lady doll. "Why did you take it?" "Where did you hide it?" the man doll demanded. "Geez, Gabe. She played that annoying thing every time I sunbathe." "She can get another one," the lady doll said. "I knew you were a stupid bee," the man doll growled. "Where did you hide it?" He again reached into his beach shorts, then held his hand to the lady doll's head. "Frick. It's in the unfinished room. What the heck is wrong with why?" "Bang. Bang bang bang," Lauren said. The sound of 4 gunshots rang out from across the fence. Dogs in the neighborhood started barking loudly and lights in several houses turned on. Lauren quickly ran the man doll back and forth across the windowsill. The back screen door of the Clark house squealed open and Mr. Clark walked out into the backyard. Lauren made the man doll raise up his arm, and Mr. Clark held up a cat piano. He walked over to the fence and knelt down beside it, gently pushing the small piano beneath it. The cat's bright orange face and big white teeth smiled cheerfully up at Lauren. Police sirens sounded in the distance, and Lauren waved to Mr. Clark one last time. Then she made the man doll point to his head. "Bang," she said. Story 12. Mom's called me 15 times today. So, Mom was being more annoying than usual. She wasn't answering her phone, and then texted and accused me of not calling her. When I walked through the door of my shared house, my phone vibrated. Pulling it out of my jeans, I only had to glance at my texts. "Mika, please call me." I dropped my phone on the couch, slumping into warm leather with a groan. I barely noticed the lump sitting next to me. Still in his PJs, thick red hair hanging in his eyes. Harry, my introverted, hermit housemate who refused to go to class. He was playing a video game, eyes glued to the TV. "Was that your mom?" I followed his character jumping over a pile of corpses. "She's driving me insane." I dragged myself into the kitchen to grab a beer. The cans were warm. Good. The refrigerator was on. I made coffee but the milk was spoiled. "Did you guys break the refrigerator?" I laughed, throwing Harry a beer. He twisted around, catching it with a grin. "If it's broken, it wasn't me." Which meant it was him. My phone vibrated again on the way upstairs. I had to awkwardly jump over Annie sitting on the bottom step, her head resting in her arms. I gave her a pat on the head. "Over." I could tell from her groan. I checked my phone again. It was Mom. Unsurprisingly. "Mika, please call me." "Sweetie, you can't ignore me." Instead of calling her back, I stumbled up the stairs, sending a voice note instead. "Hey Mom, I passed by roommate number 3, Jasper," who paused to listen, a curious smile tugging at his lips. I waved him off. "Look, I don't know why you keep calling me and then ignoring my calls, but I'm fine." I caught Jasper mimicking me, raising my fist in a mock threat. He backed off, mouthing, "Okay, you win." I ended the voice note and tossed my phone aside. Jasper tilted his head. "Your mom." I sighed. "My mom." "There's always emancipation," Annie shouted from the bottom step. Jasper grinned. What she said, he winked. "Oh hey, take your meds, dude. You haven't taken them in days." Shooing him away, I grabbed my phone and headed into the bathroom. I called Mom one more time, my gaze on a pill bottle. I didn't remember being prescribed them. I took 2, downing them with water from the tap. Mom picked up on the first ring. "Mika." She cried. Mika, where the hell are you? We're at the funeral. Oh God, you promised you'd come. Something ice-cold slithered down my spine. A sharp odor crept into my nose. Sour milk. I stumbled back downstairs. Annie was gone. The couch was empty. The TV was off. 2 beer cans sat on the coffee table. One was still full. Mika. Mom hissed, her voice fading into ocean waves. Mika, where are you? Baby, don't you remember? We're burying them today. Story 13. Just give me the word. Andy, is tonight the night? Whispered the voice from underneath Andrew's bed. It was a cold, raspy, slithering voice. Andy shuddered. The temperature dropped. He pulled the comforter tighter and shut his eyes. He prayed for help to a God who either didn't hear him or didn't care. He promised to live a sin-free life. He offered himself to priesthood if God would help him. Andy got sick of waiting for God and offered himself to the others. Andy, just give me the word, the voice said. It turned warmer, much more welcoming. Downstairs, the front door slammed shut. Andy's stepfather, Kurt, had been out to McGulligan's again drinking his sorrows away. What sorrows? Andy could guess which. Clara! Kurt shouted. Where the fuck are you? Clara, Andy's mother, answered. I'm sorry, I didn't know when you'd be home. I didn't want your food to get cold. I'm so sorry. Please let me warm it up for you. Andy, I think tonight is the night. Just give me the word, the voice from underneath his bed declared. Andy shook his head side to side. The voice sighed with exaggerated disappointment. Warm it up? Fucking leftovers? Are you out of your fucking mind? Kurt screamed. He slapped Clara so hard, Andy heard it like a gunshot had gone off in his ear. Clara cried out softly as if trying to hold back the pain. I'm sorry. I'll make you something fresh, Clara apologized. Too late now, bitch. Kurt shouted. He was too far gone with blind, alcoholic rage to stop himself. Andy heard the beating upstairs and covered his ears. Andy, you know what comes next, the voice said. Just give me the word. The voice was smooth. Seductive. Please don't hurt him. Clara begged. Do whatever you want to me, but don't hurt him. Bitch, I fucking own you and your faggot kid too. You don't let me do things to you. I just fucking do them. Now, I swear to God, if dinner isn't ready soon, I'll bury you and your fucking queer-do kid in the backyard, Kurt said. Disgust seethed through his teeth. Oh boy, Andy, the voice said. He's coming. Just give me the word. This time the voice was begging. Andy had the word on the tip of his tongue. Kurt stomped upstairs roaring Andy's name. Each footfall was a countdown to inevitable pain and violence. Andy could smell the liquor oozing from Kurt's pores. His rage was unlike any other previous night. No one was coming to save him. His mother was beaten down. God was busy doing whatever God did. Despite all this, Andy didn't want to give the word. Terrible things would happen. Andy, he's going to kill you and your mother. Just give me the word, the voice stated. It was calm now. It knew the word was coming. Kurt turned the doorknob and reached for his belt. Kurt loved using the belt. Deal, Andy said, both with a sigh of relief and a foreboding sense of impending doom. Story 14. This guy needs another psych review. My first patient of the day was a new transfer. He sat in the chair opposite, jittery. Sweat clung to his hairline. His skin was pale and stretched. I smiled. So, you've been feeling a little off. I'm not off, he said. I'm dying. I chuckled. He didn't. I pulled it back. Flipped open his file. All right, tell me everything. He huffed deeply, like he'd said it all a million times before. My knees lock up. My vision doubles. I wake up choking on nothing. Sometimes I forget how to move my tongue. Some days my fingers are numb. Other days they burn. Seen any specialists? Yep. Neurologists. Psychiatrists. Psychologists. They all say I'm fine. I nodded. Maybe we'll try Cymbalta Dash. Tried it. Made me forget how to read. Lexapro. Tried it, document tried it. I've tried everything. He leaned in. Started counting on his fingers. I've bled from places that don't bleed. My joints throb like they're alive. My pupils dilate in the dark. I hear clicks in my bones. Clicks. He nodded, staring at the floor. Were you ever bitten by a tick? 6 years ago. On a hike. Well, lime usually clears anyway. Yeah, it didn't. I hesitated. That's not exactly common. His big black eyes met mine. Maybe it's not just Lyme disease, document. Maybe maybe it's woken something else up. I tapped my pen, stared at him, frowned. He was watching me intensely. This guy needs another psych review. It hides, he said. Shifts. You treat one thing, it becomes another. My sweat smells like rust. I lose memories. I see strangers in my reflection. I wrote something down, just to make him feel heard. He stood abruptly. It's wearing me. Every time I speak, it gets better. Smarter. Every time I see a doctor, it listens. He whispered the last part. I cleared my throat. Swallowed. Let's try a low dose of Arg. No one believes me when I say, I'm dying. He suddenly screamed. Pull the door open. Walks out in a loud huff. The door clicks shut. I stared at it. Tried to refocus. But my knees suddenly felt tight. Strange. My fingers tingle. Something seemed to click inside my jaw. A knock at the door. My next patient. Come in. I coughed into my elbow. Tasted like rust. She walked in with a weary smile. Sat down jittery. Sweat clung to her hairline. Her skin was pale and stretched. Hello, doctor, she said. I've been feeling a little off lately. Honestly, I feel like I'm dying. Story 15. Setting an example. Hey, have you seen Adam lately? He hasn't been to his dorm in like 2 days. Rory whispered to me. I shrugged in response. No. I haven't heard from him ever since they dragged him into detention. You think they found out? I whispered back. Speaking of which, why do you think Mr. Hutchinson called us all down to the auditorium? Do you think it's about what Adam did? Oh, definitely, I chuckled. Mr. Hutchinson soon made his way on stage. But there was something off about him as he stared at all of us. I could swear something was different about his eyes. They were a complete contrast with his expressionless mouth. His eyes looked relaxed, with a mixture of excitement and relief. He cleared his throat, then started speaking into the microphone he held. Good morning to you all. This morning is essential. It is important for you, students, and the teachers. His voice echoed as he slowly strode across the auditorium stage. Children are always meant to be respectful, kind, truthful. However, that is not what you all are. There's a reason why all of you were sent here. Am I not wrong? Silence. All of you are problematic. You're rude, selfish, uncaring, and horrid. Some of you have even been expelled from some schools before for your reckless behavior, such as violence, bullying, and humiliating other peers, just for your gain. This student body is filled with children who are the opposite of what they should be. Especially for one fellow student. Adam. I'm sure you all heard of him. He's racked up quite the reputation after all. Considering his deplorable prank during Tuesday's lunch period, he had to be disciplined. He stopped in his tracks and faced everyone. Now is the perfect time to show you how much Adam has improved. Then he let out a small grin and clapped his hands together. Adam, please come forward. Footsteps echoed as someone made their way on stage. We all stared in silent shock as Adam stood in front of us. He wasn't dressed in his usual attire, he was dressed as if he were about to go to church. His smile was wide along with his eyes. But there was nothing, no color, no emotion, nothing. They were only gray and blank. What the hell did he do to him? I muttered, disbelief clear in my voice. I fixed him. Mr. Stanton. I made sure that he wasn't rotten anymore, Mr. Hutchinson stated, and I felt my heart skip a beat completely. This is how it is going to be from now on. If you do not improve yourselves on your own. He paused, gesturing towards Adam. I will do the work for you.